Peninsula, which would result in a catastrophic war. The Chinese would probably have to come to his defense. We then could be looking at a global war with China that obviously would affect every American, not just economically, but in terms of our security at home and abroad. It would be absolutely disastrous.
But the other debate about game theory averting nuclear disaster rages on.
I am probably one of the most deeply involved international relations scholars in the policy world. I talk to people all the time in the policy world about the problems that the United States faces around the world. And over the course of 26 years, I've talked to a lot of people. And I have never once heard anybody mention Bruce's models and say that Bruce Bueno de Mesquita has come up with a way of predicting the future that I should take seriously and look carefully into.
I don't believe in the assumptions that go into the model, but I acknowledge that the outcomes are incredibly impressive. And I believe them. I mean, I believe the outcomes. I've seen them.
Our ability to prevent nuclear war may or may not depend on the methods of scientists like Dr. Bueno de Mesquita. Or perhaps we'll discover the mystics were more precise in describing man's future than we thought. Nostradamus wrote that the third Antichrist will rise in our time. Who will tell us if he's already here? Throughout the ages, prophets like Nostradamus have captivated supporters with their predictions. But to pass the test of time, accuracy must be proved. Professor Bruce Bueno de Mesquita claims that his algorithm goes far beyond any previous capability to predict outcomes, which raises a chilling possibility. Is the computer the next Nostradamus?
Suppose there are 5 people involved in trying to influence a decision. And each of those 5 people wants to know something about what are the other 4 going to do. And those other 4 each want to know about, well, what are the other 3 thinking, and so on. So that means that there are 5 factorial possible interactions. That's 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. That's 120. A smart person can keep track of 120 interactions in their head and get it right. Now suppose there are just 10 people trying to influence a decision. That's still not very many. 10 times 9 times 8, etc. is over 3 million. Nobody can keep track of that in their head, but a computer can. It doesn't get bored, doesn't get tired, it doesn't need a lunch break, it doesn't need a vacation. It'll just keep on crunching away. And my algorithm relies on the ability of the computer to handle those very large numbers of interactions that ordinary people can't keep track of.
But Nostradamus experts don't accept that pure science can achieve the elusive visionary quality that makes Nostradamus the paragon among seers. They assert that the world's most famous prophet needed to adopt a personal approach.
His prophecies were the work of a man who knew his fellow neighbors very well. He was a doctor. He had entered many homes. He had traveled around parts of Europe. He had been to the court in Paris. He knew human beings, human nature. And a number of his prophecies, when you look at them nowadays, you can feel also the humanist there.
In the 500 years since his death, which he famously predicted, the prophecies of Nostradamus have been connected with many of the planet's seminal events and some of its most notorious figures. A captain of great Germany will come to deliver through false help to the King of Kings the support of Pannonia, so that his revolt will cause a great flow of blood. Experts claim that this quatrain presages the rise of Adolf Hitler, and say that another quatrain comes close to actually naming him. Beasts ferocious with hunger will cross the rivers, the greater part of the battlefield will be against Hista. Into a cage of iron will the great ones be drawn when the child of Germany observes nothing. Others make the connection that Hista is the original name of the Danube region in Austria near Hitler's childhood home.
Another prophecy says, near the Rhine, from the Noricum Mountains, Austria. It's about Hitler again. He will be born, a great one of the people, come too late. Often Hitler talked about himself as too late to stop the great conspiracy that ended World War I before the Germans had actually been defeated.
Whereas Nostradamus used foresight to predict events, Bruce Bueno de Mesquita uses hindsight to test the accuracy of his algorithm. This dual view of the same moment in time gives rise to intriguing comparisons between the style and